What's up, you guys? It's Thanos, and I hope you're all doing great. As you know, in this channel, I like to talk about ways that can help you increase your wealth and become more financially aware. Although I have a few videos about stock market and personal finance, there's a topic that I have not touched yet, and that is professional cuddling. No one? It's free. No, seriously. That is real estate, which is actually one of the best ways to achieve financial freedom. Did you know that 90% of millionaires make their fortune through real estate? Yeah, that's impressive. And okay, I know that I'm not Graham Stefan or Meet Kevin, but I have bought 2 rental properties in the last 5 years, and I just wanted to share with you my experience, letting you know some tips before you strike your first deal. So please stay with me through the course of this video as we will go through some of the basic things you need to know before you buy your first property, what to look for, how much money do you need exactly, and how do you know if this is a good investment for you after all. And with that said, let's get right into it. Okay, purchasing your first rental property is a big step for any investor and an important decision that you can hardly take it back. Just like that inappropriate message you accidentally sent to your mother. It's one of the largest assets you can buy, and with a little bit of time and effort it can be a great way to generate passive income. But before you become a real estate guru and start building an empire, you should start with the basics. I mean, knowing how to find a house, get a mortgage and fill it with good tenants are all essential aspects of purchasing your first rental property. Now, let's take a look at the steps you'll need to take to purchase your first investment property, as well as the challenges you may face along the way. First of all, you need to understand that an investment property is kind of a unique type of investment and very different from, let's say, stocks. Buying a rental property isn't for the faint of heart. Not only do you have to consider the mortgage and the operating costs, but you also have to think about the tenants who can either make or break your investment. Yeah, I mean literally break it. There's usually more risk involved with owning a rental property than investing in the stock market. On the contrary, you have more influence over your investment property than you would with the stock market. Believe me when I say that no matter how many stocks you own, you probably won't get a reply from the CEO no matter how good your idea is. That's right, Tim Cook, I'm talking about you. Please write back to me. Well, you see, when it comes to the stock market, you're riding a wave that's already in place. With an investment property though, small changes such as, let's say, a new door or minor improvements to the kitchen can improve the likelihood of wooing good tenants at higher monthly rents. With investment properties, not only are you riding the wave, but you own the wave. I mean, it's a great choice for that investor who wants a more hands-on opportunity. Okay, now that you know you want to be a real estate investor, let's go on with the basic steps you have to make in order to buy your first property. Number 1 is decide what kind of property you want to buy. For example, do you want a single family home, a duplex, or a multi-unit property? You can generally get more cash flow with a multi-family property, but single family homes tend to have more equity appreciation potential, especially in hot real estate markets. It's also smart to narrow down a price point. As we will discuss in depth later, you should take into account that you need to have ready cash for a down payment, the closing costs, and your lender may expect you to have at least 6 months worth of payment in reserve. And if you really believe that you can get away without worrying about this extra cost, just think about the last time you thought about peeing in a public swimming pool without anyone noticing. If you're planning to finance your investment property, it's wise to use these figures to set your budget. Also, decide how much effort you're willing to put in. You can typically find the best value in properties that need some repairs, but this creates additional work for you, or a friend that owes you a favor. On the other hand, you could decide to focus on rent-ready properties instead. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer here, but considering these issues can help you and your real estate agent when it comes time to search for a property. From my standpoint, it is better to start small and then build over time. That way, you can accumulate the experience you need to get involved with more substantial and complicated properties. At least that's how I started my real estate journey. Both my properties are single-family homes because there is less maintenance, higher demand, and it's easier to sell later if you want to. Number 2 is secure financing for the property. If you're planning to pay cash for your first investment property, you can skip this section. It's okay, just don't brag about it. Otherwise, you'll have to figure out where the money is going to come from. One of the biggest pitfalls that home buyers of any kind make is searching for a property before securing financing. Let's say after months of searching, you find the perfect property, but by the time you get pre-approved for a mortgage, the house is already under contract with another buyer, who is your ex-girlfriend, that you broke up with on your anniversary, because you forgot it was your anniversary. True story. Another problem with searching before being pre-approved is that you don't actually know how much money you qualify for. It would be heartbreaking to be looking at houses at one price range only to find out that you qualify for less. Getting pre-approved allows you to make an educated decision about the investment property you plan to buy. So in order to get pre-approved, before even contacting your lender, you have to consider two things. First is your credit score. If you're looking for a traditional fixed-rate mortgage, you will likely need a FICO score of 620 plus. Still, there are other lending options that may allow you to buy a home with a lower credit score, such as FHA loans, which need a 580 plus credit score, and VA loans, where most lenders want to see 580 to 620. The second one is your initial deposit. Lenders typically require 15 to 20% down for a rental property, but if you're willing to live in the property at first for a year, like you buy a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex or whatever, and you live in one of the units, you can get it as low as 3% down. Financing an investment property can be very different from financing a primary home. You should expect to need excellent qualifications, as lenders typically consider investment property mortgages to be higher risk compared to loans on owner-occupied properties. And whoever is trying to convince you that it is possible to get into real estate without any cash or qualifications, just don't believe them. Be suspicious. Try to remember the last time your dentist told you everything will be alright. So step number 3 is to learn how to calculate cash flow the right way. Cash flow is one of the most important concepts for a new real estate investor to understand. You can get a seemingly great deal on an investment property, but if your costs of ownership are more than the rent it brings in, it will drain your bank account faster than a tech support scammer. So it's essential that you determine whether a potential property will realistically generate positive cash flow from day one. The key word here is realistically. It's not enough to simply subtract your monthly mortgage payment from your rental income and get a positive number. That just tells you that you'll have positive cash flow when things are going perfectly. And as much as I would like to tell you they are, well, many times will not. You see, in the real world, your property will be vacant from time to time, and there will be maintenance items you'll have to pay for, so keep all this in mind when estimating cash flow. So a good cash flow calculation might look like this. Start with the property's expected monthly rental income. Then subtract your mortgage payment, including taxes and insurance. Subtract your property manager's fee if this is applicable, and then subtract any other recurring expenses, for example pest control or lawn maintenance. And finally, subtract your vacancy and maintenance allowance. For example, let's say you want to acquire a duplex that will rent for $2,000 per month. Your expected mortgage payment is $1,200, and your property manager charges 10% of collected rent, which is $200. You don't pay any other property expenses, and anticipate vacancies and maintenance will consume 15% of your rental income, which is $300. That means that what's left is $300 every month in your pocket. Now the last step is to go out looking for properties. Now comes the fun part. Once you've decided what type of property you want to buy, know how you're going to pay for it, and know how to find cash-flowing rental properties, you're ready to start looking for one. And here there are some tips you should follow. First, you have to go out and see as many properties as you can. I don't mean just like 4 or 5, but 20 at least. And yes, I know what you're gonna say. Why so many properties? I mean, maybe I'll have a hard time choosing what I like the most, and it's gonna get complicated. No, I get it. After all, we've all been to a buffet before, but you have to get a good clear picture of the market before you decide what's the best deal for you and pick wisely. Unlike a buffet where it's common knowledge that you have to pick everything. Next, do not make the rookie mistake of looking at potential properties through a homeowner's eyes. While the property might not meet your taste, you're looking for something that would be rentable. Remember, you're an investor. Things like the number of bedrooms, school district, access to interstate highways, and suspected presence of ghosts are really important. Focus on those, not on whether you like the home. And finally, try to limit your search in areas that you're most familiar with. That gives you a competitive advantage against other buyers, since you can identify which neighborhoods are more likable and easy to rent. Now, of course, as a new real estate investor, I would not recommend making your first buy in an area over 30 minutes from where you live, because you will have more difficulties managing it. After you've identified a rental property that's a good fit, it's time to make an offer and negotiate a purchase price. Your real estate agent can help guide you through this process, as well as help you navigate the time between having an accepted contract and closing on the property. But just know that you're going to get rejected all the time, and that's actually fine. You just have to get used to it. Well, for me, it wasn't that hard considering my dating experience. But that's okay. Don't get disappointed. Eventually, you do get into negotiations with a seller, and then from there, hopefully get the property under contract. Well, that's it guys. 4 easy steps to get you started in real estate and eventually buy your first rental property. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. See you again next week. Bye bye.